Hey, Rainbow here. So let's get up and running and let's do the sequence that I do all the time for this. All right, so first thing I do is turn the bike on, and this is going to get the Ducati Connect set up and the Bluetooth set up, and I'm even going to turn my Cardo on. Let me actually take both my gloves off, make it easier. Ever since I washed these gloves, these pointing things here with these gloves, for some reason there's this little thing, it just doesn't seem to work anymore. But anyway, all right, so you turn it on, and as you can see, I have, you know, almost basically full tank of gas here, and I'm waiting for the connection point to show up over here. Looks like it just sensed my phone, and the phone is up. All right, go over here to Ducati Connect. If you can see anything, I have no clue what you can see, and then press the Ducati Connect. I want to start it because if you go too long without starting it, it cycles itself down. See, Ducati Connect wants to join the Wi-Fi. We're going to join that. So the Bluetooth is connected. The Ducati Connect is now good, if you can see that. I don't even know if this thing is even focusing. Okay, so now the music is there. If I go down and I go to Ducati Connect, I can connect in. If I want to do GPS navigation, I could do GPS navigation. All right, and not going to do that. I'm just going to go to music just to test it. And what I'll do is now I'm going to turn on my Cardo. All right, I'm going to wait for Cardo to connect in. It'll tell me when it's connected in. And just so you know, this, okay, now it's connected. All right, so the music, the Cardo's connected, so now everything should work. And just, you know, this is a sequence that you have to use. If you do any of this out of sequence, you're just going to have a problem with it, I guarantee. And then sometimes this doesn't work, but most of the time it does. All right, so now I'm going to press here. Okay, I have music in my ears, which I need to shut off so I can talk and bore you. All right, there we go, November rain. All right, well, let's go for a ride, and I'll update you on what's going on with the Multistrada V4S, my dealership, the radar, which, all right, and change the way you hear me with the visor shut. All right. Well, a couple things have happened, and one of them is the fact that when I went to my dealer to go get some parts for what I broke, remember I broke something down here? Remember that little thing? All right. So anyway, when I broke that, I went to go get some parts, those little clips that are the female clip nuts, or whatever you want to call them, retaining, whatever you want to call them. I bought two of them, one to replace this one and one as a spare. $3.75 for two little things that probably cost a half a penny, but it is what it is. The dealer has to make some money. So I went there, and everyone was looking at me kind of weird. And finally my salesman, who's super cool, his name is Ian, he said, well, he goes, everybody knows who you are now. And I'm like, what? He goes, your YouTube video. And apparently not the original one I did, where I complained about the radar not being turned on, but the one that I made, and I'm going to link that up here, the one that I made that basically said, hey, why I want to sell my Multistrada and why I don't. Apparently that one got the attention of Ducati, and the next thing you know, the Ducati North America was calling my dealership, asking them to contact me to take the video down, which they actually refused because my dealer said, you know what? He's right. Not even the dealer knew at the time about any price adjustment or anything. So they actually stuck up for me, surprisingly. As you know, you would think that you get a lot of pressure, but they are honestly probably the largest Ducati dealer in the United States, because they're running both the Fort Lauderdale and Miami Ducati dealership. It's the same company. So anyway, they stood behind me and they said, yeah. And one of the reasons why they stood behind me is because I didn't bash the dealership at all. I just didn't, you know, feel any need to bash the dealership. And I have a good relationship with them. And even the service manager was like, oh, Mr. YouTube. And I'm like, oh boy. But that's the deal. So they feel as though, you know, in my case, because I didn't know about this, and neither did they, that Ducati, or they're just going to make it right when it comes time for turning on the radar and getting it all set up and calibrated. It shouldn't cost me anything. I also found out that potential, let me open this up to get rid of that echo or sound. Also found out that the radar should be coming up and coming online shortly, probably within the next few weeks, maybe in the beginning of July. Now, interesting enough, I am going to Italy in a couple of weeks, and I do have to pass through Bologna with where I'm going. I'm actually going to where my great-grandparents are from in Molise. So I'm going to land in Milano, and I've done this a couple times before. It's a 5.5-hour train ride south for me from Milan, and I have to change trains in Bologna, which is a very interesting train station because it's different levels, and it's, to me, I still think it's a little confusing, to be quite honest with you. And would love to have an opportunity. Okay, what do we got going on here? Anyway, I would love to have an opportunity to go ahead and stop at the Ducati factory. Alright, so this is closed off, but this is set up in advance, so I don't know what the hell they're doing here. If these people don't make a decision, I'm going to make a decision for them, because they just don't seem to get it. I mean, this guy's telling them to go over, and they're still continuing. Come on. Let's go. I'm not waiting all day for you, buddy. Alright, like, you don't get it? You don't understand. Well, welcome to Florida. Anyway, so, well, I can't go the way I wanted to go, so I guess I'll go another way. And we'll see where that takes us. So anyway, not to bore you too much, I'll clip this in and continue this conversation in a little bit when I get to a better place. Alright, until then, I'll probably just do a little bit of, that's not a good sign. That must have been, I don't understand that. Okay, so what's going on? This is interesting. Can't go down that way. Sheriff's got a bird in the air, circling around, and the road shut down. So, okay. Well, couldn't even get past the Costco. Found that to be interesting. Alright, well, you know what? Let me just continue on with this since I'm not listening to music, and I have a captive audience that could easily click stop. So, 9,309 miles so far with the Ducati Multistrada V4S, and you know, with all of the small little things that I've had issues with, which are small, I have been overall extremely happy with this motorcycle. This motorcycle has been a performer. It has been reliable, for sure. I'm always going to complain about gas mileage, but when you have this kind of power, you know, you can't really expect to get good gas mileage. So you can't have one without the other. If you could, let me know what motorcycle gives you the power and the gas mileage all in one, because I would really like to see that. That would be very interesting. Alright, so let's head down. Well, I'm not going to Miami, but let's get on 95. See what I'm doing? Downshifting with the quick shifter. Really getting used to this. As a matter of fact, when I test drove the Harley Davidson Pan American, I had to actually, it took about 5 minutes, but in the beginning I was like, oh yeah, I have to pull the clutch in to shift. This does kind of spoil you, to be quite honest with you. Alright, now you probably saw me pull this up before, and the only reason why I pulled it up is solely because I'll have better audio when I'm talking, and it's very helpful with the audio because when there's so much wind coming on the helmet, it makes too much noise, and I don't want to aggravate everyone who is listening to my videos. Other than that, in the summertime I really like to leave it down because I need the airflow. I really need the airflow on this thing to keep things nice and cool for me, I guess you can say. Alright, so I'm going to start heading to the ocean, and unfortunately had to come this way. This bridge, this is the bridge I used to go over, which they're going to be replacing, but that's normally the one I would have gone over, but they started that project a couple of months ago, and anyway, I no longer have that as an option. So instead, let's go down Spanish River Boulevard and head in to the beach this way, only because I like these curves better than just getting off that exit and making a left, which actually would have been quicker. It's one of the few times I actually get to make some turns on this motorcycle. Yeah, okay, of course you're gonna do that, right? Well, they caught themselves, so can't give them a hard time for that. See, I don't use the brakes as much because I downshift a lot, and I have the quick shifter. This thing has engine braking, and well, I'm just going to take advantage of it and see where that takes me. But okay, I may have a decent amount to edit here on this, and I might be cutting some of this out, but it is what it is. Okay, welcome back. A little bit of traffic there, but as you can see, a beautiful view of the ocean. All right, people are out today. It's a hot day. Have some heavy clouds coming up here. Now, back to this Multistrada V4S. Like I said, I'm happy with the bike overall, and there's some discussion about a potential Pikes Peak version of this that has a smaller front wheel. However, part of that discussion with the dealer was that it's in denial, and it may never happen. And if it does, they probably wouldn't use the Pikes Peak name again, especially now that there's really no motorcycle racing up Pikes Peak anymore. So there's another part of this discussion that leads me to believe that the new version of the Multistrada with the smaller front wheel would be sort of a go-between version. It wouldn't necessarily have all the bells and whistles of this Multistrada, which is at the higher end of the scale. That it's potentially what they're doing, which everyone's in denial over, is creating a motorcycle that is going to fill a gap at probably a price point between the Multistrada and whatever, I don't know, Diavel, Hypermotor, I don't know. I really don't know what other motorcycle it would be. Would it be between this and you know, a Panigale? I really don't know. It sounds like it's being set up more for like a sport touring, which is kind of what I would like, but to be as comfortable as this. One of the benefits of this 19-inch front wheel is that it makes it easier to get up and over a curb when you have to, or over those parking blocks, which, you know, you could do with almost any bike. It just makes it a little bit easier when you have the 19-inch front wheel. Okay, now the other part of this is that, you know, this 19-inch wheel, sure, you probably have to be at the professional level before you really notice a difference. But if you're an experienced rider and not necessarily professional, and you really want to push this bike, or maybe you want to go to the track, some of you would say, well, this isn't the bike to take to the track. Well, I'm going to tell you that this is a bike to take to the track. You're not going to compete with a sport bike, but you're certainly going to have a ton of fun. And I believe that you would have a little bit more fun and have a little more stability with maybe two 17-inch wheels versus two, you know, a 19 in the front and a 17 in the back. So I think going to that 17-inch wheel in the front, if this ever happens, would bring this bike definitely lower to the ground for sure, because that front end is going to come down, reduce the clearance. And if you're not here for the adventure bike of it, well, then who cares? Honestly, like, really, who cares? So I would love to see a version of this that's more of a sport touring yet comfortable. I did get an opportunity to sit on a BMW R1250 RT, and it's a lot of bike, it's bulky, and it's just not going to work in South Florida for someone like me, because it does put you in that wind bubble. And honestly, there's a lot of heat down here. I mean, if you look now, the air temperature says it's 89 degrees on here, and you know what, it's at least 90 plus the sun that's beating down on everything. So I'm going to continue this on in a little bit. I'll give you a little tour of my little stop here. This is actually a pit stop that I take for a rest break if I'm coming up and down. And well, let's just go take a look and see what's out at the ocean while I'm here. Give you guys a little scenic tour. So they just rebuilt this pavilion here. The boards were all rotted out, and the main structure they didn't replace, just all the flooring and some of the floor joists were replaced. That's it. But oh, lots of sargassum in here, but that's all for the turtles, all that stuff that you see. All right, very interesting. So this is my view on a regular basis, and I find it to be sometimes enjoyable, to be quite honest with you. Okay. Okay, so now that I gotta... Thanks. Not yet. Alright, so now that I shut the bike off, I have to go through the same sequence again, and this is good because you'll get to experience it twice now, where turn it on, start it up. Now I already have the Ducati app open and on, and I didn't shut it off, so sometimes what happens is that it'll catch, and it's probably difficult for you to see. I don't know if you can see at all. It's trying to connect to the Bluetooth, but this didn't even pick it up. So I didn't shut the app off. I didn't shut off my Cardo either, which I just did. All right, so now my Bluetooth connected in, and now this app should lock in by itself because I never shut it off, but we will see. This is again one of those really quirky things, and I don't know if you can see anything. There it is. Do I want to join? Then it takes a couple of seconds and then it'll lock in, and then I'll know I'm good to go. In the meantime, I'm keeping my Cardo off for right now because, oh, see, now we're locked in. So I was lucky this time because I was able to keep the app on, shut the bike off, and turn it back on, and it's still going to cue you to connect. It's never going to automatically connect. And honestly, as long as I have the app turned on, I would really appreciate if it would just automatically connect, because there's really no other point in me doing anything else. Why should I have to connect to it again or tell it that I want to connect to it again? Because I already turned the app on, and the point of the app is to connect to the bike. So there should be an automatic component to that, because if you miss it, it won't connect, and then it'll fault out, and then you'll get an error on the app. And I know you can't see anything there. You can barely see the Ducati symbol because it's kind of grayed out a little bit, but I am connected in. See, so I go to Ducati Connect, go to GPS navigation. This shows where I'm at right now, and maybe I'll just leave it here for a little bit. And you are looking at the Sigic maps. Sigic. All these people are turning left, please. All right, good. Hey, this is Rainbow. Looks like I hit a little bit of rain, or I just missed the rain, but I'm gonna call it a day here. Things are getting a little bit wet, and I think I'm going to eliminate that particular light and cut through the parking lot because I want to go to Wendy's. No, I just realized I don't eat at Wendy's. I changed my mind. I'm just gonna go home. That's what I'm gonna do. Oh gosh, look at this. Almost there.